Hello, this is Alan again. I thought I'd start a new playlist on tips and tricks on ECL, how to do various things. And I thought I'd start with a discussion on macros and how to use them. They are tricky, really, and I thought I could use a concrete real world example to demonstrate use of macros, and the fact that it's a concrete useful example might help people's as they're working through getting their head around macros. So this is my this is what I've got. So the concrete example I'm talking about is, let's say you've got a key file, you've got attributes on individuals. So here we are. Let's have a look here what we've got. So we've got a record keyed by record ID. That's the unique key for each record here. You then got an individual's information, which I of course blanked out here. But for each individual, you can have hundreds and hundreds of attributes. It's actually scary nowadays how much information can be held on us, and there's so many attributes to an individual that really it's impossible. If you want to do any common processing on all these attributes, you really can't just write ECL to process each individual attribute. You really are forced to use macros, and you have to resort to and using an understanding of macros. So I thought I'd use this example to work through macros here. So my example, these got all sorts of attributes. These in fact I've constructed just random numbers in these, but they could be, number of bankruptcies in the postcode you live in, or the number of bankruptcies you've individually had, or court county judgment. There's thousands of attributes, XY coordinates of where you were at a certain date and goodness knows what, all very scary big brother stuff. And let's say you've got a key file on one day generated on let's say the 30th of September, and you want to see how the attributes have drifted, or what trends there are, or if something's gone wrong, and you have to raise alerts when you've generated the next day's key file. So this person here, maybe the same individuals, but their attributes have changed or drifted in some way, and we want to analyze each and every one of these attributes here, in what way they've moved, or what's happened to them from one day to the next. Again, these are just, as I said, random numbers, so they're bound to be different and drifting. So without further ado, let's have a look at the ECL to go about analysing such a scenario. Well, first of all, you have to get hold of the record structure. You have to read in the two data sets, whatever you're doing. And in this case, what you can normally start with is getting to the ECL. There's an ECL tab here, and you can just cut that out and paste that into your ECL. But in fact, what I've done is I've actually used a standard structure from the LexisNexis training video training workspace, and I've basically used that, cut out, not used some of the fields, and just plonked a load of attributes. So I've already got this defined when I was constructing the initial data sets for this video. Now I want to read them in as inputs. Come on, there we go. Bit slow. So let's read. I think the first bit. So this code here, 3 lines here, just reads in the two data sets and distributes them by the record ID here. So this base is the set of attributes for individuals that you're assuming is correct, and the candidate is the current set that you want to test and see what the drift is compared to the baseline. So the first thing, what I think I better show you, you have to manipulate or construct let's say we construct a new data set that contains information from both other data sets for all these attributes, and then we can process that. But first of all, we need to know how to construct a new data set from a given input data set. So we better see what the how can we manipulate the input data set. So let's just ignore that section of code to begin with. Let's look at the input. So here, I've done in the previous videos in my playlist about export. What export is doing is putting into the symbol variable the structure, exporting our attributes into that symbol variable. So let's see what export actually exports. And this is the string. This syntax says, give me generate the string of that symbol variable there. So let's just see what this export is going to give us, and then what can we do with it. Come on, didn't mean you were slow. So let's just submit that. Actually, that can be done on H4 because it's such a simple task. Come on. Right. There we are. So it's generated this structure. Let's copy that to TextPad and make sure we can view it. Let's just in here. So here it effectively generates an XML tag with a load of field entries in it, and there's a load of attributes for each field in this XML structure. For example, ECL type, the base type, its name, label and name have to be the same here. And what we're interested in are these attributes, which I'm going to define as being effectively trailing underscore 2 alphabetics, and that for me will define an attribute field here. And what I want to do is really for each and every attribute generate a report on the differences or whatever there is between the base and the candidates files here. So I'm going to have to construct a new structure out of this input structure here. So that's my input. Now, a little aside, if I don't output the string, if I just construct the symbol variable itself, I suspect I'll get a compiler error on that point because there's no actions being done. Let's see what it does here. Yeah, it's just that's actually put that text that we saw into the compiler stream of tokens. So of course it's going to fail. Anyway, so that's our input. Now I'm going to do this video over several stages as it's quite a long process this, and I think this would be a good point to stop off, allow everyone a cup of tea and get back to a second video after this. So I'll see you in a short while. Cheers.